These warmachine Orgoth miniatures from the Frozen and Forgotten box set were first primed black. If you do not have an airbrush, you most definitely do not need one to get the look I ended up with. I actually had a great looking airbrushed finish, but literally all of this gets covered up in the end, and what I'm about to show you becomes wasted effort. Just base coating the metallics with one bright silver tone is all that's actually needed, and the only reason why I'm showing these steps at all is because this did look good and maybe you can find a use for it for something else. I mix some dark silver with blue ink and give an anti-zenithal spray from one side before mixing that dark silver with purple and giving another anti-zenithal from the other side. I then mix yellow ink with the dark silver and give a zenithal spray from the side that the purple was added to. And finally, with a bright silver unmixed with inks, I give one final zenithal spray from above on the side that was sprayed with the blue. From here on, everything else will be done without the use of an airbrush. With ochre speed paint then 1:1 with medium, I spread this over all of the metal armor that I want gold. And then with dusk red then 1:1 with medium, I add some shadows to the silver armor. With plasmatic bolt, similarly thinned, I spread this over the golds to add tarnish. I finished the metallics by mixing some of the ochre with bright silver for highlights for the golds, and then unmixed bright silver for, well, the silvers. At this point, the nice subtle airbrush work I did is completely covered. I then use my last speed paints on the clothing, with grim black for the black clothing and bright red for the red. As a side note, I'll not be showing the painting of the black cloth or the ropes on these miniatures as they follow the same steps as other elements, just with different colors. I will, as always, include a spreadsheet excerpt that will be shown near the end of the video containing all of the steps, colors, and products used in this project. I add scratchy highlights using hatching lines for the first highlight, and then again with a brighter red, though covering less area with the second. I then finish the red clothing off by adding some matte varnish over top to help dull the reflectiveness of any metallic flakes still peeking through. There is still a slight metallic sheen visible from the areas not highlighted, which gives the impression of silk or a satin weaving. For the rest of the elements, I'll be completely base coating these before adding highlights. For the white bandages and wraps, these will be the three colors that I use, as out of the bottle and with no mixing. First a base coat of yellow outside, followed by a highlight with an off-white using hatching lines perpendicular with the length of the bandages. A highlight of pure white is added just as an edge highlight, and maybe a few hatching lines at the highest faces. For the bones, I follow a similar process, base coating first with raw sienna, a rich caramel-like brown, followed by some general volumetric highlights with yellow. The last highlight is with off-white as an edge highlight, and very small volumetric highlights applied by little stippling pokes. At this point in the project, I'm getting close to the end, with mostly just the glowing effects, fire, and base left. But first, some oil washes to add some extra tones and shadows, and grit to break up more of the metallic reflectiveness. I hit everything in brown, then the silvers with orange, golds with teal, and the red cloth with black. I wait 30 minutes before buffing the models gently with makeup sponges, and then again with makeup sponges that have been slightly dampened with mineral spirits. For the glowing bits, I fill these areas in with white ink, and once it's fully dry, I drop in some green ink right behind it. As this is fully dry, I use some pure white acrylic paint, not ink, to add white centers to everything. This gets a little difficult with the recessed sockets of the skulls, but it's doable if you're slow and careful. For the runes, I also stipple in a little bit of white where I want it brighter. I then finish the glowing bits by adding some yellow fluorescent paint over the white. For the flames, I decided to not include showing that here to both save time and mostly because it's okay but not great. The steps again will be shown shortly via the spreadsheet excerpt at the end of this video. The bases I'll also not be showing as I intend on making a separate short video for those specifically. And this is where I stopped. I'm very happy with how the gold and silver metallics came out, as well as a red clothing satin-esque fabric look that came from building it up over a metallic silver base coat. The glowing effects are not anything spectacular, but it does catch the eye when they're on the table. Considering the amount of time spent on the metals, a total of 7 hours, or an hour apiece spread out over the 7 models, I most definitely cannot complain, especially when it took me 20 hours of effort for 10 models for the Night Lords box set. I didn't show the painting of the black clothing in this video, but I did want to bring it up. Though the steps were very similar to the red clothing, there were some sporadic differences. The red clothing was a metallic base coat, followed by a speed paint tinting, 2 highlights, and a coat of matte varnish. The black clothing, I tried adding the varnish before the speed paint, as well as using different variations to varnish, such as just matte medium or matte medium mixed with matte varnish, etc. But in the end, that made little difference, and going forward for anything I want to have a slight metallic sheen to it, I'll just follow the steps that I did for the red clothing here, if nothing else, to keep consistency. For the things I disliked in this project, let's start with the little big guys, bladed weapons. I tried to imitate the box art's green glow on them and they came out alright, but it's just meh. I also it feels like it distracts from the glowing eyes and metallic work. For the big guy's shoulder fire, I don't hate this, and it's growing on me the more I see it. However, I think the jump from fluorescent lime green to the dark green, and then to black is too sudden, and that there should be a little more of a transition in places to a more middle ground of dark green in between. But I can live with what's there now. I also had to fight the urge to not add more highlights to brighten up the bones all over his mid-torso and hands, but I didn't want these to end up in the same boat, such as the other guy's glowing weapons, where they distract from the glowing eyes, flames, and shiny armor. For lessons learned, I have a couple of pretty bad gaps in some of the red clothing for the sword and board warriors. If I were just slapping some stuff together and rushing it to the table for a game, then this would be fine. But I put a lot of effort into these folks, and because of the gaps, it's going to bother me every time I see them. As mentioned earlier, I'll be covering the bases in another video, more than likely a short. But if you were wondering as to why I chose a snowy base, that would be because the other faction that came with this box set are pale blue elves with some feathery coats. So I figured snow environment dwelling elves being hunted by these ceaseless inevitabilities of brutal death. And that'll bring this video to its end. I hope you learned something or inspired to start your own collection of confusingly segmented factions from the world of Warmachine, specifically said ceaseless inevitabilities of brutal death. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and if you like the content of this video and would like to see more, you can easily support the channel by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I'm Jim with Orgoth Miniatures. I'm truly grateful for your time, and I bid you a fond farewell. Until the next video.